All right, buckle up, everyone, because today we are diving deep into Gilas Pilipinas' recent victory.
Big win, yeah.
Huge win. You guys wanted the inside scoop, so we hit the game coverage hard.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking the FIBA Asia Cup 2025 qualifiers, Gilas Pilipinas versus Hong Kong at the Mall of Asia Arena.
The crowd was wild.
Oh, electric atmosphere. And the score, Gilas just crushed it, 93-54.
Dominant.
Totally dominant. They are on fire, undefeated in these qualifiers.
But there's a lot more to it than just the scoreline.
Right. You're right, there is. What really jumped out at me from all the coverage was how Gilas used their height advantage. I mean, Kai Soto and Junmar Fajardo, they were
Forces of nature.
Exactly. And, you know, I know height is obviously important in basketball, but they really made it the central part of their game plan.
Well, think about it. You've got Soto at 7'3" and Fajardo at 6'10".
It's a lot of height to contend with.
It's not just about being tall, though. It's about how you use that height.
Yeah.
And they used it brilliantly.
So give me an example. How did that height advantage actually play out on the court?
So on offense, they were constantly employing that high-low game, classic basketball strategy. They'd get the ball to either Soto or Fajardo near the basket, and that forced the Hong Kong defense to collapse in on them.
So they were basically magnets, pulling in all the defenders.
Exactly, and that opened up space for other Gilas players. They had cutters slashing to the basket and shooters getting open looks on the perimeter.
That's what I noticed. It wasn't just Soto and Fajardo scoring all the points. They were creating opportunities for the entire team.
And then defensively, their height was just as impactful. They were altering shots, blocking passes, making it really tough for Hong Kong to get anything going.
And I saw in the stats that Gilas had a massive rebounding advantage.
Oh, totally. 55 rebounds for Gilas to Hong Kong's 23. That height difference, especially under the basket, it was a huge factor there.
Yeah, no kidding. Now, Hong Kong, they tried to counter that height disadvantage with a different strategy.
Let's talk about that, because they really leaned heavily on the three-point shot.
It felt like every other possession they were jacking up a three.
They attempted 35 three-pointers in the game.
Wow. That's a lot. I guess when you're facing a team with that much size, you're kind of forced to try and win from the outside.
It's a logical strategy, but it's also a risky one, because three-pointers, they can be streaky. You can get hot, but you can also go cold really quickly.
And against a team like Gilas, who is playing such tight defense, I think that pressure really started to get to them.
Absolutely. They couldn't find their rhythm. You could see their frustration building as those shots just weren't falling.
So, we always like to ask this question. What would you say was the turning point of this game? Was there a specific moment where you felt like Gilas really took control?
There were a few key moments, but there's one that sticks out. It was in the third quarter, I think. Hong Kong was actually making a bit of a run. They were starting to close the gap a little. And then, boom, Soto comes up with this massive block on a drive to the basket.
I remember that. The crowd went wild.
It was electric. And then, what happened next?
Gilas got the rebound, pushed the ball up the court, and ended up with a fast break junk. It was like bam, 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 all in the blink of an eye.
Exactly. That sequence, that felt like the moment when the momentum completely shifted. Hong Kong never really recovered after that.
You could just feel the energy drain out of them. All right, so big win for Gilas. They remain undefeated. But I think there's a bigger lesson here, right?
There is. This game shows how the game of basketball is evolving. Teams are really starting to understand the value of size and length. It's not just about having tall players. It's about using that height strategically, both on offense and defense.
And Gilas is a prime example of that. So for all you aspiring ballers out there, think about this. How can you use your physical attributes to your advantage?
It's a question worth pondering, because the way the game is played, it's changing. And teams that can adapt, teams that can leverage every advantage they have, those are the teams that are going to succeed.
I could have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.